Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Family by Design. Sit back and relax as Liz and I discuss why we avoid feelings. And so for guys, this could be a little bit tougher or whatever, but it's really good and it's really going to help you. So listen in. Okay, so we're going to talk about why we avoid our feelings.
Well, why do we avoid our feelings?
No.
Oh, you're like gonna leave because
I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah. Because sometimes avoidance is easier. But
yeah, we live in a world where people literally have no idea. The vast majority of people have no idea how to have any kind of confrontation at all. They only view confrontation as confrontational. To confront means that you go and address, you deal with something. So
yeah, that's good. And I think
people would rather evade things instead of dealing with things, and you can't have health if you do that. You cannot.
My mind is just blowing right now.
I can do that. I'm here. I'm your man. Literally, I'm your man.
You are. No, I mean, that's so true. And it's so valuable. But I'm even thinking about the fact that we won't deal and confront our own selves. Like we won't take the time to do work on ourselves to know why we're operating the way that we are.
And it's not laziness. And with some people, it could be laziness.
Yeah.
But the majority of people, it's really fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
fear of shame, fear of rejection.
Yeah.
In general, fear of man. And so people stay masked behind, I've got everything all together, but then the fruit in their life is like, you don't have it all together. Very obvious. So why are you continuing to be unauthentic with people that can help you? And I think a lot of it is just, it's like spiritual ineptness. They just don't seem to have the understanding that like we have to go in and do some work here if we're going to get healthier.
Right.
Sometimes people don't even value health, but
yes,
most of the people that listen to this podcast, they're listening to it because they do value health. And so relationally, when it comes to like emotional health, we have to, at some point, come to this thing where we stop avoiding the conversation about emotions in general, but those raw emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some stereotype in our culture too about, men are like, my wife wants to talk about feelings. I don't want to talk about feelings. I'm going to go fishing. It's like, well, why did you get married? Did you get married to go fishing? Because she doesn't even like fishing. Maybe your wife does.
True story.
Whatever. You didn't get married to just bring home money and have sex. I mean, actually, that sounds.
Maybe some people did.
Maybe some people did. Well, but you signed up for more than that, and you just didn't know it. You should have read the fine print. I mean, I like the idea of like, let's play golf and have sex.
Not at the same time. Maybe. I don't know.
This could become a very interesting podcast. Wow. Wash our minds, Lord. Okay.
No, so I was just thinking, as you were talking, is that a lot of times, especially in a marriage relationship, you have to learn how to be vulnerable with one another. And this is a great place of vulnerability because actually, and it is kind of the human condition. Like we don't like to be vulnerable because it is an exposure. And when we expose who we really are and what's really going on the inside of us, we could be afraid that people won't like who we
what are they going to do with that?
And are they going to even really like who I am? Because oftentimes we don't really like who we are because we haven't done the work to know who we really are, which, we talked about in last season, all of like identity and foundations and why that's so valuable and important. But that even bleeds into like this is like, if you don't and aren't secure in who you are, then, and being authentic, then you will hide or you will avoid having these conversations or even doing this work because of basically fear of people leaving you. And then, or being rejected or things like that. So it would be easier.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Why do we avoid our feelings in general? Give us some answers. I feel like you just said a couple, but maybe say them again real quick. Why do people avoid
we're
talking
afraid
about feelings, emotions?
We're afraid of being rejected. We haven't actually learned how to be vulnerable. We don't know who we are truly. We've allowed other people to tell us who we are. And we don't feel safe. If we have grown up or we aren't in safe environments where we feel like we can be vulnerable, then we go on defense and we protect ourselves at all costs. Yeah. And when we have emotions and they're raw and we don't know what's happening, we get out of control. And when we're out of control, we can't protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And we feel like that's a need for us as individuals, is to feel secure. And so we will avoid anything that makes us not feel safe and secure, which is sometimes being really, who we are.
Yeah, so that's very good, very interesting, and I don't think that people really process through that. Like most people wouldn't be like, well, I'm not avoiding talking about emotions because I don't feel safe and secure. But I mean, what other reason is there why you wouldn't just open up? I mean, it's either that or it's like pride.
Well, and
people think that they have it all together and they don't need to go in and have or it could just be ignorance, maybe, to where people don't realize that they need to go in and have health in this area. Like for some people, this conversation sounds too Freudian. Like, I don't want to get in and discuss all of that deep psychological, emotional stuff. Okay, we'll continue to have broken relationships.
Right.
Continue to have your emotions control you instead of you controlling them. Continue to have lack of connection with your spouse. Continue to not be able to connect with your children properly. Yep. Continue to not be able to have positive confrontation in your life. There are reasons why people are unhealthy on so many levels, and one of those reasons is they're not dealing with what's happening on the inside of them, and so they avoid it altogether. You need to go in and discuss these things. It doesn't make you wrong. It makes you human.
Right. And so I just want to talk about that connection piece really quick, because anytime you avoid things.
Hey, let's not make this about me.
No, I'm not. Yeah. But we've
probably could, though.
We've talked about these things because if we are avoiding things, if we're whatever it is we're avoiding, it's like an avoidant behavior, why we're doing it. We listed all those reasons why. Right. But what happens is you become a disconnected person. And when you're disconnected, this is why relationships break down. This is why then you don't connect with your spouse and you have problems. You're lacking in intimacy because you won't get to this place of vulnerability, which floods over into so many areas of your marriage. Like, this is actually where deep problems probably root from is intimacy problems, and intimacy problems come from lack of connection, and lack of connection comes from you're avoiding a lot of things.
This is so true and very right, especially for men, because men, like men actually don't even understand their highest needs. They think they do. They think it's sex, and it's not sex. It's like, that's like a tight second. I mean, it's right there. But men's highest needs are to be respected, to be honored. And whenever they are not connecting with their wife sexually, they often will feel disrespected. And it's not that she's withholding, it's just that there's not connection. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they're not connected because he won't do what's necessary to connect with her outside of the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Emotionally.
And women don't, women's turn on button is not the same as men's. I mean, I heard it said like this before. It's like, what turns a man on is like bring food and show up naked. Like that's pretty much it. And I mean, but men are, that's pretty much it. But even with that, men still, they have a desire, more than a desire, they have a need to be connected emotionally with their spouse. It's not only physical. It's just not as important as it is for women. And so a woman's turn on button is that deep connection. Go on walks together. So like things that we do where we really connect is like we go on walks together. We hadn't been on one in a couple months since till yesterday,
right?
Because of the weather and just busyness. And we're like, whoa, we have to not get too busy for this. And so we have to have that connection. And so one of the ways we do that is through walks, but then just literally just taking time away from everybody else to just sit and just talk. We just talk through things that we enjoy. We talk about dreams. We talk about challenges, all of that kind of stuff, but we connect.
Right.
And that is oftentimes going back and talking about, it's not only expressing things emotionally, but it's literally coming to this place to where we stop avoiding them and say, let's talk about this. And this is encouragement for men, even I know not everybody has a wife like I do and you, and it's incredible how good you are to me. But for me, I've been able, and you've set the platform to where I've been able to be very raw and real with you. And at times it's probably been a little bit difficult, but you've never rejected me. And this is the point I was going to get at. This will help men. Me talking about like even my problems and like, hey, I'm really dealing with this and I really feel like this. I don't know if this is right, but I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this. Me sharing those things with you has actually brought connection to us.
Right.
You haven't rejected me because of it. You've actually brought strength to me. And what I know that's true is that women are stronger emotionally than men. Women, even though they're quote like more emotional, they are better at handling emotions than men. And so this is one of the things, men are stronger physically.
Right.
Who handles the strong things, the things that need to be done in the house? You had a flat tire last week.
Yes,
you didn't even consider changing that flat tire.
I sure did
You pulled
not.
up and you're like, bro, hop on it. And I'm like, thanks, baby. Make me a sandwich. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. But there was an instant thing of like, I'm stronger than you physically. I'm going to handle that. And I did. I got the jack out. I jacked the car up. I took the tire off. Not too bad for me because I'm built for that kind of stuff.
Right.
For you, would have been real difficult. Emotionally, women are built to handle emotions like a man is built to change a flat tire.
Yeah.
And so when men learn to lean on their wives and talk through these things, not only will men become more emotionally healthy themselves, their marriage becomes more healthy because now they're communicating on that level.
Right.
It's just that men, like our society, one of the reasons that we avoid emotions is because our society has made men believe that it's weak to talk about these things. It's not weakness, it's meekness. It's actually a position of strength to go to your wife and say, I need help processing this. I've got these thoughts running through me and I need you to help me with this.
Right.
If your wife has any sense in her at all and has any level of health in her at all, she'll jump all over that and say, let's work through it.
And yeah, so this is actually a really great conversation to have with spouses and to ask yourself, am I a safe person? Can people come and talk to me and and know that I'm going to love them and I'm not going to reject them? And if they can't, how come? What's going on with me? And then do I feel safe talking to my spouse about whatever?
These are foundation questions.
And if I'm not, how come? And then to navigate those questions, sometimes you need a third party to help you.
Sometimes. Yeah.
To say, I don't feel safe, and name the reasons without the other person getting offended.
Right.
And so you have to, communication is vital, and you have to realize that the whole reason why you're even having these conversations is because you want to grow in intimacy and deeper connection. And when you then you say to yourself, I'm going to do whatever work is necessary because our goal is this. My goal isn't to tell you I don't feel safe talking to you because I want you to feel bad or like a failure or manipulated or anything like that. No, my goal is that I'm dealing with some of my own insecurities and problems, and I've never been in any relationship before where I have felt safe that I can communicate my emotions, and I don't even know how to communicate them well or right. And so a lot of times when you're even learning how to navigate this, it's messy.
Right.
Because a lot of it is raw, and sometimes it's easier to blame people. Well, you aren't this and you aren't that, instead of saying, I'm needing this from you and I'm not feeling like it. So how come? We want to blame people, but then sometimes it's us, and we have to we have to be able to process this. And with our spouse, it is supposed to be the person
right
that we process with.
Right.
And this is how healthy, strong marriages and deep intimacy is birthed. And honestly, like if we're going to even peel back like another layer, if you cannot be intimate with your spouse in this way, then you're probably not with the Lord either. And that's actually a bigger problem.
Wow.
And so when we learn how to do this with people and feel secure, then we'll be able to do it with the Lord at even greater levels.
This is so good. And we're out of time, but I want to say this kind of in closing that I think is important. Like why we're even discussing this is to help people realize that we all carry, like, if you want to say it like this, emotional baggage.
Right.
We carry different trauma, drama, scars, wounds in our soul. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying like we're all a bunch of wounded people, but like there's stuff in there sometimes that comes out. And instead of just totally avoiding it, we need to lean into it.
Yeah.
And say, okay, let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. Because what you don't deal with, it's eventually going to come back up again.
Right. And it'll deal with you.
And it will deal with you. I remember my dad saying one time, he's like, if you don't deal with problems, he's like, you just sweep them under the rug. He said, eventually that pile gets so big that people try to walk over it and they just end up tripping. So your problems are a problem for you. And if you don't deal with them, eventually they become a problem for other people as well. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to avoid it. It's important to come to this place of being mentally and emotionally very healthy. And that is a lifelong journey.
Yes,
nobody becomes healthy in this area overnight. We have been saved. For those that are in Christ, we've been saved. So there's a part of us, our spirit, that's been changed. Mm-hmm. And like the Bible says that we will have a new glorified body. So one day we will be saved. Mm-hmm. But then it says that it talks about our soul, and our soul is our mind, will, emotions, and conscience. And that's what's in the process of being saved. Mm-hmm. Like, so from now until we die, we should be in the state of mind renewal. And you could say the same about having our emotions in check. All of that, all those internal workings, mm-hmm. we have to continue working on that if we want to be the best us.
Yeah.
We need to be us, be who God's called us to be, but we have to keep working towards health. And that's why having discussion about emotions is important.
I agree.
Thanks for tuning in to Family by Design. We're so thankful you took this time to listen and participate with Liz and I as we discuss these very important things concerning marriage and family. If you're blessed by this ministry, in particular this podcast, we'd love it if you would leave a review. It'll absolutely help boost our ratings and help other people to be able to find this podcast to bless them as well. We want to give a special thanks to our partners. Those of you that partner with Ward Ministries, you make this possible. If you'd like more information about partnership, you'd like to become a partner with us, you can go to wardmen.org and find all the information there, as well as other resources. So we bless you in the name of the Lord. Thanks for tuning in.